Of all the universes and all the multiverses and all of the infinite universes that are possible, what would it look like if the Denver Nuggets traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo? We'll talk about it on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Moore, joined by Ryan Blackburn. Catch him over at Pickaxe and Roll and Mile High Sports. On today's show, we're going to talk about what if the Nuggets did trade for Giannis? Everybody else gets to talk about trading for Giannis. Why not us? And I think it's worth actually talking about what this would look like. And as skeptical as we are of this possibility, and like this episode, Ryan, we got to like remove ourselves. We have to suspend disbelief. Disbelief. We got to like go into movie watcher mode.
Okay.
Where the worst person you know is the one that points out all the plot holes in the movie as you're watching it.
You would be surprised. I am not that person. I am actually the opposite of that person. I go to the movies with my brother and my dad, and like I'm somebody who enjoyed Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I'm somebody who enjoyed like some of these others, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm willing to suspend my disbelief in some of these situations, and I'm okay trying to think about, okay, let's get into this fantasy world and enjoy it for a little bit. But with this, it's a little bit more difficult, but let's do it.
So we're going to suspend our disbelief, and we're going to talk about what this would actually look like for the Nuggets if they got him, and like how to put that together and how the dynamics would work and all those types of things. So I messed with the trade machine for about an hour and couldn't find anything close to anything I consider to be reasonable. Couldn't find anything that comes within realm of what would actually need to happen. I came relatively close, and the secret is that you got to trade Jamal to a third team. It's got to be, I think, a 4-team deal. Jamal goes to a third team, who then sends assets to Milwaukee. Aaron goes to a fourth team that then sends assets to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
The Nuggets pick up Giannis. They take on whatever else. You have to be able to dump salary in this. So it's got to be teams that can absorb a lot of salary. A team like Atlanta, that actually their books are very clean, or Brooklyn, so that they can just like take in all sorts of money and it not being a problem for them to take on more than they give out. And that is like really kind of the structure. But if they pulled it off, if we woke up on a Tuesday,
okay, and
Shams Charania reported the Denver Nuggets are trading X, Y, and Z in a massive 4-team deal, Giannis Antetokounmpo is being the Milwaukee Bucks are. He would say the Milwaukee Bucks are trading Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Denver Nuggets, and then be like a complicated 14 blah, blah. Let's say that happens. What would be, outside of holy bleep, what would be the first thing that goes through your mind from a thinking about it standpoint? What was the first thing that you would start focusing on?
Yeah, one of the things that I think about in this case is it makes a lot of sense in terms of the dynamics of the actual league's structure. And when you have a team that dominates in the way that a group like the Oklahoma City Thunder is, or a young team that's popping up like the Spurs, or you get these situations where you go through these points and these stars, these superstars, it becomes really difficult. And like that's the natural aging curve of a franchise. That's the natural aging curve of individuals, where it becomes a lot more difficult to do some of the things that you were doing as a championship contender consistently year in, year out, like the Nuggets and the Bucks have done. And so one of those teams decides to pull the plug. It's pretty clear based off of the reporting that it's Milwaukee, but the other team decides we're going to go for it. We're going to try to follow some of the age-old structures that have happened throughout the league's history. We're going to unite this superstar with that superstar, and we're going to try to build around these two pillars. And so that's the first thing that kind of goes through my head is it's something that happens throughout the league's history. It just hasn't happened to the Denver Nuggets, partially because they haven't had a player like Jokic before. But it would almost remind me of Carmelo Anthony and Allen Iverson back in the day. If you're thinking about it from a Nuggets history perspective, like this would be an even bigger move than that because of the guys that are involved. But in terms of like cultural significance, there was nothing bigger than Carmelo Anthony and Allen Iverson reuniting back in 2008.
I don't know. There's nothing.
It was pretty sick.
It's all right. I actually thought Linus Kleiza got screwed in that entire structure. There was like a lot of situations where Kleiza was like really good that year, and they just wouldn't pass to him. They were just like, no.
Oh yeah,
they were just like, no.
Happened with this Nuggets team too, and like even though it's Jokic and like it's not Allen Iverson and Carmelo Anthony, but like it would be 2 versus 5 would be the structure of this, and how the Nuggets would have to build it, how much they would have to give up, and some of the things that they would do. You would have plenty of those moments as a Nuggets fan, I think, where you're thinking about this after the fact that thinking, wow, they gave up all the structure. They gave up all of the infrastructure around those guys. And there's a lot of minimum contracts out on the court next to 2 superstars, and it's really hard for them. But also, they could make life easier for each other in a lot of ways, and it would just be a lot of fun to watch, I think.
How smooth of a fit do you think it would be with Nikola?
Not super smooth. Like, I do think that they would stagger. I think that there
Oh,
would be,
yeah.
there would be plenty of time where, okay, you have Giannis take a break, and then Jokic take a break, and then Giannis take a break, and then they play together at the end of the half in the game. But during the times where they're out there together, it would be a lot of Jokic operating with the ball and Giannis being super AG, kind of that physical downhill threat, not necessarily just in the dunker spot, but you're getting a lot of screens, you're getting a lot of slips, you're getting a lot of, hey, he then gets to roll as a playmaker and things like that. But in terms of posting up Jokic, how often are you going to be able to do that unless Giannis is willing to go from the short corner and from the dunker spot? I don't really know. You're making a face.
I'm making a face. I'm making a face.
I thought we were believing in the fantasy land here.
Yeah, and so that's I think. But here's the thing with this part of it. I think this part we don't have. Like the fantasy land is getting him. Okay, making it work, I think, is like a more delicate and complicated and kind of nuanced conversation. And I think it's like I actually want to talk. I want to go long on this because I think it's really interesting to think about that. I do think that it'd be awesome for the city of Denver and for Nuggets fans to be like, we got it. Like we are the team that got Giannis. We didn't have to draft a guy during a Taco Bell commercial and have him wind up being one of the best players of the last 25 years. Like we were the team that got 2 MVPs. We built the super team. Like that would be very cool and very rewarding. I think it'd be like just like a fascinating to see the attention that would suddenly be on the market. Like, I don't know how national media reacts with like Jokic and Giannis, 2 guys that have been difficult for them to shoehorn into the roles that they want them to be in. Yeah. It would be like this, and like all the real hoopers would just weep and cry and moan.
And for it to be in Denver of all places, when everybody is thinking Giannis is going to go to Miami, Giannis is going to go to New York, Giannis is going to go to LA or with Golden State and play with Steph and things like that. And then like Joker's never given anybody ever reason to actually think that he's going to go, other than Luka getting traded to LA. Like that's the only reason that anybody's ever thought that he might disappear. But for both of those guys to then go to Denver when every national outlet has removed assets in talking about the Nuggets would be very, very interesting.
This would be just like this would be the Death Star to the real Hooper crowd, and I would be very much here for it. Let's talk more about how Giannis can fit with Jokic and how you build the team around them from that standpoint, given what they'd have to give up. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. Right now at FanDuel, you can bet on either Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Victor Wembanyama for Finals MVP. You can vote for either one. Okay. Now, you can bet on any number of other guys, but those are amongst the 2 guys. I would say decide who you think is going to win the Thunder Spurs series, because it's going to be Thunder Spurs, and then bet that person to win Finals MVP. And Shea's a minus number, but sometimes you have to lay the juice. That's just how it kind of goes. Now, I did put a long shot today in. I actually put in a long shot position on AJ Mitchell at 125 to 1 to win finals MVP. He's been their best player. He really has been. Like, what if AJ Mitchell just keeps doing this? Short series are weird, man. What if AJ Mitchell just lights up the Knicks in the finals? I could see it happening. You can get in on all that and more at FanDuel. Just head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for being with us. Join the Everydayers Club at lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. I have come up with I somehow beat Druid in our Discord. He had a 14-player trade. I have come up with a 15-player trade that I'm going to talk about tomorrow on the show that involves Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's what I'm going to do. Danny Cunningham for Locked On Cavs. Everyone be nice to my friends and hit the thumbs up button. Love Danny for popping in from time to time. Danny does such a great show. Yeah. He does such an awesome show. He has a really great Substack too. So I do not think that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be super agey. I think as much as I understand the idea, I just don't think that's how that works. Some of this is that Giannis what's weird is like Giannis doesn't want to be the screener, doesn't need a guard. Really, that's why Drew is perfect for him, because Drew is a off-ball point guard, brings the ball up, sets the floor, gives it to the big fella. He does his thing. Drew spots up. If you need him to reset the offense, he can. If you need him to create something in a spot pick and roll with Brook Lopez, can do it. Great. Phenomenal. Sure. Giannis wants the ball in his hands. Now, that's like would be the biggest push-pull is like both of those guys would want the ball a lot. And if you're like, well, Jamal always has the ball in his hands. Jamal always has the ball in his hands off of like DHOs from Jokic. Like everything that Jamal does is built off of Nikola, even if it is like Jamal shooting. But I do think the idea of Giannis coming off of DHOs, and I do love the idea of the inverted pick and roll with Jokic with Giannis screening. I think that's incredible because you just slip it. And then that way you tell Giannis, hey, we're just getting you downhill. We're going to do it high and you're going to get downhill and you're going to dunk on a bunch of people. Okay. It would be complicated because I do think Jokic would have to space more. You'd lose a lot of the rebounding impact of Jokic because he would have to do 5-out Brook Lopez stuff sometimes. You would have to work those sets in. The other thing I think that is actually like pretty interesting from this dynamic is the idea of like, as much as the triangle does not work, I think elements of the triangle you would want to put into place here into a triple post up. And I think that there's actually like some really great stuff that you could work on. Giannis low post, Jokic at the nail with a spot up shooter on the elbow, and work that triangle with a weak side rotation of Peyton Watson. I think that works actually very, very well.
One of the things you'd have to worry about in some of those ways is if Denver would get too stagnant in those kinds of situations where Jokic, all he could really do from a movement perspective at the top of a triangle is pass the ball. Like he's not going to flash and cut and do all those things that I think you would want in those situations. But I think that there's at least an opportunity to get creative with them. And what I mean is when they are sharing the floor together, that's kind of the balance that you have to strike. Like sometimes Giannis is going to initiate, and sometimes they would have the like when they're running the horn sets with Murray, Gordon, and Jokic, they sometimes have Gordon initiate. He's not always catching the ball. He's the one who's dribbling the ball up the floor, and maybe he then has a back screen that gets set for him by Jokic, or maybe it's the opposite way. And those guys are, because they are so skilled and dynamic with the ball in their hands, they could mix and match and do a whole bunch of crazy things. Not having, like, Jokic has lost his 3-point shot, and that's at least something that I think would be a concern here. Giannis not necessarily being much of a 3-point spacer would be a concern here. But you think about the defense that they could play with Giannis kind of roaming as that backline rim protector, doing some of the things that AJ has been. It's been a thankless job, and I've been a problem with that. Like Giannis, I think, would be able to help with that in a lot of different ways and just kind of get up to certain spots on the floor. Like, is that not a bad comparison?
I'm going to go back to this again with you because I think it's really important. And it's not that like I think you're wrong. I want to understand what you mean here. If they put the guard in the corner, so that whoever the guard is guarding, let's say that they get Dejounte Murray in another deal, okay, and Dejounte is guarding the corner, the left corner guy, and they run a high pick and roll from top to right, from middle to right. And Jokic is playing at the level.
Then Dejounte has to be the one that's rotating over, and it can't be Giannis in that situation.
Yeah.
But what he can do is he can compress the paint a little bit and help over in situations that are a little bit different from somebody like even like AG in that situation. You're helping off of the weak side wing in that case.
And the idea here is just that because Giannis can cover more ground, he can be more impactful coming off of the high wing, the above the break.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to split, you'd have to space, this is going to be, it's a complicated one. That's an uncomfortable place to be. Obviously, Jokic just has to be better at the level in that situation. But in a lot of situations where maybe Giannis is not guarding an elite 3-point shooter and he's guarding an okay 3-point shooter, then I think that would be okay.
THTR says, Mr. Matt, I need you to make a decision for me. What should I watch after this? The new Darth Maul show, season 2 of Invincible, the Watchmen miniseries, Breaking Bad, or Marty Supreme. Saw Andor already. It's a really good selection. The new Darth Maul is supposed to be awesome. I have not seen it. Watchmen, I loved. I really liked Watchmen. I am not an Invincible person, so I can't weigh in on that. And I've watched Breaking Bad like 7 times, so I can't say that you shouldn't watch it. You should watch Better Call Saul if you're going to watch anything.
Well, start with Breaking Bad. And then get to Better Call Saul, and then watch Death Note, which is what I'm starting right now.
I think the idea. So it is kind of interesting. So I want to take you to. Let's do a tangent because we have time.
Sure.
It is 1 month and 18 days before the off season begins, so we have some time to kill.
We do.
So in the Cavs Pistons series, they're putting Evan Mobley on Asar Thompson.
Yep.
And Evan's the one that is now helping low. So they're putting 2 at the level with Jared Allen and Dean Wade on Cade Cunningham, making him pass to Jalen Duren, who is short rolling into Evan Mobley. And then people are like, gosh, what's wrong with Jalen Duren? But the entire sequence is created because Asar can't space.
Yeah.
So Mobley can help off. No matter where he is, right? So like if he's above the break, he's helping he's in the lane. If he's in the corner, Mobley's in the lane. Like he just doesn't care, right? But if Giannis is tasked, if you are playing a team that has spacing, then Giannis can't really cover those things, and you're still going to have the fundamental kind of problems. Which is why, honestly, maybe it's important to get a guy like Dejounte that will actually disrupt that play down low. Like maybe that's like the upside here. If you really want to solve that defensive scheme, you're going to have. Maybe I haven't thought about this right. With the at-level coverage, I still think that the biggest thing is Joker's got to be very active at the level.
Sure.
But maybe the bigger thing is you have to have a super disruptive guard. And if you do, then you can if you take away the ability to plant a non-disruptor in that weak side corner, you can solve this scheme.
I would call Christian Braun a fundamental get over screen guy, as opposed to a disruptive get over screen guy. Like he's going to do what the coverage is asking for, but he's not necessarily going to stop somebody from getting into that action in the first place. Jamal Murray certainly not doing that. Peyton Watson, maybe if he got back to wanting to play that kind of level of defense and balancing things out with the offensive end, then maybe. But like, yeah, Denver just doesn't have that kind of guy. So can you go get a guy who can be on the ball disruptive at least a little level on a consistent basis? That would help Joker, that's for sure.
Okay, so we talked about how Joker and Giannis would fit together offensively and defensively. How do you build a roster around them if you're moving Jamal and AG theoretically in this trade, which I think you would have to? I also think you're trading Cam Johnson because you're going to re-sign Peyton Watson. What do you do with the rest of the roster? How do you fill that out? What does it look like? We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Postseason's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun. Because every player has their bag, with DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. If I'm watching a day of hoops, all these great games, I want to be able to get snacks. I want to be able to get food. I want to get, it's great selling in on the couch on a beautiful May afternoon on the weekend and just being like, I'm going to get wings and some snacks and hang out and watch sports. It's absolutely amazing. And DoorDash is great because you can get exactly what you want. You can get stuff from multiple stores with Dash deals. It's absolutely amazing. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, and gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us. All right, so the leftover roster, if we do this trade, is, let's say that the Pelicans take the bait and do Cam Johnson for Dejounte Murray. Again, we're living in fantasy land. Let's just pretend.
I mean,
so let's say it's
pretty reasonable. They love their wings.
Yeah, Dejounte Murray. Who doesn't love wings, Ryan? Dejounte Murray.
Sign wings.
What?
No, Zion Williamson loves his wings.
Everyone loves wings. Dejounte Murray, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. Spacing's probably tough there.
Yep.
Probably tough, right? I would rather, if you could do Cam Johnson for Drew Holiday, that'd be I think even more ideal. I think that'd be actually like great, but I don't know that they need Cam, so it'd have to be like a 30-team deal. If it's Drew, now if you put in Drew Holiday, it's like Drew Holiday, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Giannis, and Yoke. I'm kind of like, okay, you have two spacers in Peyton and Drew. Okay,
yeah,
I'm in. What does the rest of the roster need to look like with minimum deals, mid-level exception, etc.? What is it that you're looking for with the rest of the roster?
Well, Julian Strawther just became very important in that kind of situation because you need somebody who can do a lot of different things. He's an offensive kind of secondary, tertiary creator, but also can just run pick and roll with one of those guys and catch the ball, space the floor, things like that. I think that's, could they bring back Tim Hardaway on the minimum? I don't know if Tim's going to accept that or not. But having another season of Tim Hardaway spacing the floor wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Spencer Jones, I really like the idea of Spencer Jones at the 4 and Giannis at a small ball 5 and just kind of bridging the gap in some of those looks. I think you could also stand to get a backup 5 that could just space the floor and shoot threes. Like if you could find somebody like that who could take some pressure off of Giannis in some ways, then absolutely that would be great. You need a traditional backup point guard, somebody who, like, especially hypothetically, you're trading Jamal Murray. You need a second ball handler as a guard. You're already starting Christian Brown. You're already like probably compromised. Or if you have one guy who gets out as a point guard, you need another guy who can handle the basketball, who can run a pick and roll. So maybe it's Tyus Jones as a pretty cheap alternative there. But like the long and short of it is that if you're trading for Giannis and you have Jokic, and you still have Christian Brown and Peyton Watson, you're going to be top heavy. Like you just are. And Nuggets fans have to know going into a deal like this that you're probably going 8 deep on the most part, and then trying to find and squeeze out minutes of 9th man, 10th man, 11th man throughout the season, depending on the kind of lineups that you can go to.
How scary of it would they be in transition, though, with Jokic throwing outlet passes?
To Giannis, to Christian Brown,
Peyton Watson, and Giannis.
Peyton Watson, like, we'll see if Peyton can fix some of that from this past year. And yeah, absolutely. Dejounte Murray in transition, I think, would be pretty good. Like Julian Strawther, pull up threes. Like there's a lot to like there. I think if like, and that's one thing that the Nuggets, they benefited from having Russell Westbrook, a healthy Christian Brown, and just playing a lot more quick, getting out in transition and doing some getting the easy baskets that way. Go get Russell Westbrook.
I was just about to say, why don't go get
Russell Westbrook, man. No,
all gas, no breaks, no threes.
All attitude with Russ and Giannis playing together and going downhill. I mean, here's the thing. Like if Denver's already got cramped spacing at that point, you might as well like find another guy who can be aggressive and going to the rim. I would hate the mistakes, as you know, but like Denver would already be pretty weak at point guard, so beggars can't be choosers in that case. But I would like look. One of the things I talked about on Pickaxe earlier today is that Nuggets fans just want to change. They want to see the Nuggets do something. They want to see them like not spin their wheels again, just trade Cam Johnson for nothing to free up money for Peyton Watson and then let that be it. Like that's not what they want to see. This might be going too far in terms of what they would see, but it would certainly be different. It would certainly be interesting. And it would be very entertaining for a lot of people to watch.
Yeah, I mean, look, I talked to Mike D'Antoni when they traded for Chris Paul to put with Harden, and I was like, what are you going to do here? I was like, these guys can't really work. Like, there's no screen and roll action. And he was like, why would I put them in any sort of screen and rolls? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, don't you want them to interact? And he was like, I don't need them to interact. Why would I bring two great defenders to the ball? If the best defender is on one of them and the other best defender is on the other one, why would I bring the other one to the ball? And one of the things he talked about is he just said, honestly, he's like, great players will figure it out. I know everyone wants to talk about coaching and scheme and tactics. Great players will figure out how to play together because what makes them great is how they understand the game. And he was right. Chris Paul and James Harden figured out how to play together until Harden got tired of Chris Paul doing things like wanting him to be serious and stop going out every night.
It kind of reminds me of, I mean, because you think about the recent trades where two top 5 players have played together. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think, has to be at the top of that list in terms of figure it out. And the fit may not be perfect, but you just are really talented and you can find a way to do it anyway. I know you're number one Anthony Davis hater over there, but even you would be like, yeah, they figured it out. They absolutely did what they're supposed to do and were pretty stable in the bubble season that they had together.
No.
No?
No, there was no fans, and so the depth perception was changed. So one time for 2 months he hit jumpers, and that cemented him as a top 75 player of all time for some reason. And in reality, that team, look, they were really good that season. They really were. They were really great. That was the best AD season.
They were the best team that season.
But the reason they won the title was because AD hit a bunch of jumpers he's never hit anywhere else.
Yeah.
People in the comments want AD here. You cannot. I will just say this: if they trade Aaron Gordon and bring in Anthony Davis, if they trade Aaron Gordon for his availability issues and trade for Anthony Davis, I will build a word napalm device and burn them across every platform. I will find social media networks they've never even heard of to create content to criticize them.
Yeah, I mean, look, when they're on the floor right now at the same time, it's arguable that Aaron Gordon is a better player straight up than Anthony Davis per minute. So like, I think it's perfectly reasonable for them to just stick with Aaron Gordon in that case. It's inarguable that Giannis is better. It's inarguable that Giannis is still at that level and just a different kind of player that you just have to consider an idea for this on. But you're right. Like, this is the only kind of move that you would trade Aaron Gordon for. There aren't that many that you would actually do it for if you're the Nuggets and you're seriously trying to win versus save money, I think.
THGR says, Matt, genuinely mean this in a respectful way, but when you interview and talk to NBA head coaches, does it make you realize just how much more they know than even a basketball nerd like yourself? Yes.
Yeah.
If you talk to coaches, you just like, there's just, there are so it's just really, this is one of the things I always try and emphasize is I hate it the most when fans online, and not just fans, analysts, talking heads like myself, when they act like, I don't know why this coach doesn't do this. Just stupid, as if there's no reason, as if he has never thought of the problem that you're discussing, as if he doesn't know something that you don't know about his players, his staff, his scheme. It like makes me crazy. What we don't know is so huge. The known unknowns are so huge when trying to analyze the sport, and they keep it from us because they honestly don't think we would understand,
or would be or it would be irresponsible with that knowledge.
Yeah.
In terms of like, hey, why is Washington doing stupid, dumb stuff at the beginning of the season? Well, there was an active thing that was put out there that like, hey, you got to lose as many games as possible. And boy, howdy, they got the number one pick.
And look, there are people that can know a lot about basketball and still make stupid decisions. David Blatt was like, knows a ton about basketball. Terrible decisions. Like Kenny Atkinson, I think, is coaching his way out of the series. Like JB Bickerstaff yesterday, knowing that they're playing at level with Evan Mobley, one of the most athletic guys imaginable. Ryan, they ran not even a high. It was like a side to side pick and roll. They started to the left of the top of the key and then ran a pick and roll to the left, which naturally builds in a third defender in the sideline. So Evan Mobley's in front of him, the sideline's to his left, and Dean Wade inverts to be on his right. And he's just in a little bitty box.
That's not easy.
You'll never believe it, but he tried throwing it to Jalen Duren and it was a turnover. I'm just like, what are you doing? How impressed are you? So somebody asked about the game tonight. How impressed are you with San Antonio? Are you more or less impressed? So this is actually a question I'm debating in a bunch of text threads.
I have no doubt that you are.
Is some people are like, OKC hasn't played anybody. I'm not impressed. Shea hasn't looked good. They've been better without Shea on the floor. And then my contention is I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. Like the Blazers are not a serious team. And the Wolves won their Super Bowl in Game 6 versus the Nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Wolves sold out for that game and for that series. There's no doubt about it. But it is funny. They were pretty healthy and got to be a pretty healthy team over the course of this series even. And San Antonio is also making them look pretty bad. And I'm very impressed with Victor Wembanyama. He's the reason why they lost Game 4 by getting ejected. Like there's no doubt about that. But like, I am really impressed with their level of poise in a situation where Minnesota tries to take you out of your comfort zone a lot of the time, and they can't. Like they have not been able to do it on a consistent basis against the San Antonio team. And I give San Antonio a ton of credit for their ability to handle that at such a young age. Yeah. Like a lot of those guys have never been in this situation before. And like Wemby's looking pretty good. Dylan Harper is amazing, man. Like I am so thrilled for Dylan Harper because that dude is going to be a 7-time plus all-star in this league.
In our Discord, Chris, who I often battle with, has put in Cameron Johnson for Kyle Kuzma, and I want to die.
So I want this known. I said verbatim on the Everydayer Club trade pod, verbatim, that trading Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma is like trading Cam Johnson for Kyle Kuzma. You just don't do it. It's a stupid idea. It's going to make you.
Well, I'm gonna push back because I did miss the picks. Okay, it's Cam for the 10th pick this season, which they're not going to trade. Why would they do that? That's insane.
Yeah.
But let's say that they did a 2030 first round pick, top 14 protected from Portland, and a 2033 second round pick from Milwaukee. So you get 3 picks and Kyle Kuzma for Cam.
Oh man, you're gonna make me take Kyle Kuzma. What in the world?
See, this is
a crazy deal.
So this is, I agree. There's lots of crazy deals. Not going to happen. But so this is like very important to understand is that when you start going in on the value of picks and the value of young players and blah, 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 you just need to like, you have to return to, you are taking on Kyle Kuzma. Like you, and like it literally spelled the end of Giannis in Milwaukee. So yeah, and Milwaukee would never ever do that. That's
it's right. But here's the thing: you could take one of those picks and flip Kyle Kuzma out of the world.
No, you can't. No, you can't, because no one else is going to be like, "Oh yeah, we'll take Kyle."
Oh yeah, you know what? It hasn't worked for these teams.
Yeah,
But what if it works for us?
It might just work for us.
No, work for us.
All right, that's gonna do it. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. If you just sign for the Everydayers Club, you can put your trade ideas into the chat, and we'll talk about them on the show. Because I believe in bringing the people's ideas to the world. Do that. Join Ryan on Pickaxe and Roll. We'll be back tomorrow with more content. Appreciate you guys being with us. Have a great week. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.
Kyle Kuzma?
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma's a